Donald Trump was just blindsided by farmers who are now sounding the alarm over bombshell economic news. With inflation rising, trade wars dragging on, and now a credit crisis hitting America, the economy is quickly collapsing under Trump's watch. And today, one farmers' union leader absolutely blasted the president with the most well-deserved "I told you so" yet. So stick around to see how farmers are turning on Trump over his latest disaster, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. As we cross into the second half of September, the United States has rapidly started to speed up. And by speed up, I mean we are now sprinting off the edge of a cliff. What started as rising costs in August have now turned into snowballing effects of tariffs, and despite what we can all see around us, the Trump administration would rather push more propaganda onto us than actually do anything to help. Just take a look at Trump's Treasury Secretary say that they have made all of the right moves for our economy. He even says that no inflation exists because if it did, Trump would have done something about it.
Joe, as you know, President Trump's very sophisticated economically, and I think he has been right at almost every turn, whether it's his first term, his second term. And if he thought inflation were the problem for the American people, sure, he'd be willing to have rate hikes. But right now, the problem has been that the Fed has been behind the curve. We're hoping they will start catching up in a rather fulsome way. As your previous guest said, a 25 basis point cut is priced in tomorrow, and we will see whether the Fed wants to go to neutral or become accommodative.
MAGA is just completely allergic to the truth. Here, Scott Bessent says that Donald Trump is very sophisticated economically, but what we are seeing today says something completely different. For starters, farmers across red states are now speaking out against Trump's disastrous tariff war. People who supported Trump's agenda are now terrified because it might run them out of business.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Yeah, if we got 100% of everything else, we would still only have half the Chinese business.
Many rural Americans across red states, like the man we just heard from, work in what is called commodity farming. Basically, they grow stuff to sell overseas. And for the past few months, Donald Trump has been straight up ignoring the pain his tariffs have been causing them. But Trump is about to face a much bigger outcry from Republican voters, because it is now being reported that tariff prices are rapidly hitting stores across America. In this stunning new report from Reuters News, businesses across the country have tried to hold out for an end to Trump's trade war, but they've been doing that for far too long now. And this means that they are now rapidly pushing the extra costs onto everyday Americans. And this is bad for everyone in this country, but will cause a much bigger hit to Trump's base than a soybean war.
U.S. consumer prices posted their biggest jump in 7 months in August, driven by higher housing and food costs. The Consumer Price Index reported by the Labor Department on Thursday showed consumer prices rose 2.9% in the 12 months through August. That's higher than the 2.7% increase in July. However, the data is not expected to prevent a much-anticipated interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve next week, against the backdrop of labor market weakness. The odds of a rate reduction fell slightly following the report, but remain near 90% according to the CME FedWatch tool. The combination of higher inflation and deteriorating labor market conditions could fuel fears of stagflation. August could be the start of a long-anticipated upward trend in inflation as businesses pass on higher costs from President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs onto consumers. The Consumer Price Index rose by a larger-than-expected 0.4% last month, the biggest gain since January. It was driven by a jump in the cost of shelter, which includes rents and hotel rooms. Food prices also climbed higher, with the cost of food consumed at home soaring 0.6%.
The end of August seems to have marked the beginning of what could become the Donald Trump recession. Everything from groceries to housing has started to climb rapidly, and everyday Americans are in their worst position ever to fight it. And in another shocking report on the Trump economy today, Americans' credit scores have recently started to shrink as people try to keep up with the rising costs under the Trump administration. Just take a look at this.
All right, new this morning, new data showing that credit scores are falling at the fastest pace in the U.S. since the Great Recession, as Americans struggle to keep up with the rising cost of living. Let's go right to CNN's Matt Egan for this. Doesn't sound good.
Yeah, no, John, it's not. It's more evidence that some Americans, they're hurting because of the high cost of living and because of the return of student loans. So FICO had found that credit scores on average, they increased every single year between 2013 and last year when they dipped. And today, FICO says there's an even bigger drop this year. As you mentioned, the biggest since 2009 during the Great Recession. Credit scores, they're still pretty high, moving in the wrong direction, in part because more and more Americans are falling behind on their bills. FICO says that delinquency rates are at or near the highest level since 2009 on car loans, credit cards, and also on personal loans as well.
According to CNN, many Americans were already struggling to keep up with the costs of living, and that was before Trump decided to set the economy on fire. Now, despite all of these horrible reports on the economy coming in, Trump could not seem to care less. Today, when he was asked by a reporter if he was worried about the effects of tariffs on the US auto industry, Trump said that we have nothing to worry about because his tariffs are making plenty of money to fix any problems that they may cause. That not only doesn't make any sense, but Trump backs it up with completely made-up numbers of tariff revenue.
So we had a good deal. Don't forget, European Union is paying our country because of tariffs $950 billion. Think of that. We're talking about a year. $950 billion. Japan is paying us $650 billion. These are countries that paid us nothing until I came along. And China's paying us a tremendous tariff. You know what the tariff is, right?
Donald Trump either doesn't care about the wave of hurt this country is about to start going through, or he has no idea how tariffs actually work. And sadly, both of those are equally possible. Now, while Donald Trump tries to play off his tariff mess instead of actually fixing it, one farmer is calling him out directly. John Boyd Jr. is the president of the Black Farmers Association and has been an avid opponent of tariffs. During the 2024 campaign, he tried to warn American farmers that tariffs would only ruin their businesses, but no one in the industry listened. And now that Trump's tariffs are hitting American farms, he has been saying a very well-deserved "I told you so." In an interview today, Boyd said that his farm costs are way up and that profits are way down. And just like every other farmer in the United States, there's only one thing to blame.
Fertilizer and seed and diesel fuel, all of these things have just about tripled in price. And I'm selling my commodity for the same thing I was in the 80s. I've never seen anything like this. And it's all due to the president's tariffs.
Farmers like John Boyd are starting to be crushed by the weight of Donald Trump's tariffs, and while they're only starting out on farms, they will be soon hurting everyday Americans like you and I. Boyd goes on to say that American farmers need to stop holding out hope that Trump will just swoop in and save them, and I could not agree more. From everything that I've heard from the president, he has no interest in stopping the disaster that is about to hit. But let me know what you think. Will Trump change course, or are the nation's tariff troubles just here to stay? Comment below what you think, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more.